overview of what we're going to do today. We're going to start by doing demos. Then we'll jump into a retro, which I know Matthew gave a little overview. I think it was yesterday or earlier this week. But basically for the retro, we just want to stop and take a pulse on what we think is going really well, what we could improve on, and just get some feedback from you all and each other so we can continue to course correct as we go through the Collab Lab here. So after the retro, we'll move on to the issues that we're going to be covering in the next week and who your pairs will be. So before we dive into demos, I just wanted to open the floor. How was this week for everybody? Did you all have pretty good weeks or bad weeks? Just would love to hear how the week went for you.
Related to the Collab Lab or in general?
Honestly, just in general, yeah. Like how is everything going for all of you so far?
Well, I'll start since my dog is barking. This week was pretty good for me. I came to Buffalo to be with my family for a week, so that's been really refreshing. In general, I'm feeling not overwhelmed yet, but I know that I'm like I have to be careful not to go past this point. I think I'm like at my max right now. So yeah, feeling good, but just conscious of the fact that I think I'm teetering towards at my max. So I just need to be conscious of that.
I can go after you. I'm eating my lunch of Pop-Tarts. The week has been interesting. It's been quite a jump, like a little bit of a shock jumping in. It's fine. It wasn't that hard. I think I just made it harder in my head. I also have another project going on at the same time that I've kind of like slowed down on and probably need to communicate that better with that team. And yeah, this has been fine. We have a bunch of forest fires by me right now, so that's a new thing for me from being from Minnesota. So the air quality is really bad, but other than that, things are going okay.
I can go next. Yeah, everything was fine. Just kind of like going through like the code stuff as it comes. Not thinking too far ahead about I guess getting it done. Just trying to like take it as it comes. But otherwise, yeah, pretty good week. Nothing out of the ordinary.
I guess I can go. This week was like very weird for me. My cat is sick, so we've been mostly focusing on that. But yeah, had a lot of fun working on this project. It was a great distraction, and Quinn and I think had like a real fun time working on it together.
Awesome. Thank you all. The reason I wanted to ask in general is we're living in kind of odd times. And sometimes when you're working on a project remotely with people, you don't have a chance to just run into people in the hall, have lunch with them. And so if there is something going on in the background of people's lives, we don't always know about it until it gets a little bit overwhelming. So if at any point you all just feel like, oh, there is too much going on right now, I have too much going on right now, feel free to reach out to Lauren and I at any time too. And we're happy to make adjustments. But good, I'm glad to hear that this week was pretty good for most folks here too. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into demos. Lauren, can I hand that over to you?
Yeah, sounds good. Who would like to go first this week? I'm super excited to see these demos because I feel like there's been a lot of code that's been merged in, kind of a lot of improvements that have been made, and everything's looking pretty amazing. So I'm excited to see the demos. But who would like to go first?
Lauren, should we just get ours out of the way?
Sure.
This is my trial by fire here.
Oh, can someone enable screen sharing?
Oh yeah, let me see. How can I do that? One participant can share at a time. Sorry, I'm using Matt's thing here. Advanced sharing options. All participants. And all participants. Okay, I think that should work.
Really quick, we have that thing in GitHub that's our issues that we're using, and when we close it, it like disappears. Is there any way for me to see it still?
Yeah, there's a view, Tiana. Let me just jump over there. So
Oh,
when you
right
click
there,
on issues,
it says closed. Okay.
yeah, exactly. So you can tab over to closed, and then you'll be able to see ones that have
Cool.
closed too. Good question.
Okay. Do you want to start out here first and then jump to the code, or would you prefer to start with the code, Tiana?
Let me just move my screen so I can go through what we actually did. Put that there. And then you guys are there. Okay, I guess we could go through this first because it's right here.
Okay.
So we have a form that you input the name of the item into the input form that says item name, and when you do that, you are required to, it's already preset as a default to say soon. I don't know if I should bring this up now, but on the back end, that's correlating to soon would equal 7 days, kind of soon is 14 days, and then not soon is 30 days. So it's defaulted at soon. So every time it like refreshes, it will go right back to that. And when you hit add item, it will give us an alert that says it's added to the list. It's very exciting. Am I missing anything from that? I don't think so. And there is a token with it. You can see that in our console, but it doesn't do anything with it right now.
Actually, it's all connected so that it does. It's linked.
Yeah,
up.
it just I can't see anything from this end, as far as I know.
Oh yes, and we did include the required thing so that if you try to add it before adding a name, then it won't let you. Okay, here's the code.
There we go. I'm gonna get rid of the pictures of us. All right, so we started with pulling in some information from app.js. I think that, did we end up putting that, wait, we put that back. So we have that information that we ended up sending through props to our page. And down here yeah, perfect. It's all over the place. Okay, this is a little interesting because I've never had to like watch someone else's code and try to like, well, it's my code, but like on a different screen that I don't have control of.
Yep.
So yeah, we have our up top there, we have our handle submit that brings in the information or like sends it to Firestore, and we set up the last purchase date to null, assuming that that product hasn't been purchased before. It will be updated in the database as it goes. And then right below that, you can see our frequency default set to 7, which is the soon. Right below that, we have our handle submit form. So we have our input, which changes our target value. And then right below that, we have our radio buttons. And I don't know if we had it on there that it's set to default, but yeah, those are our radio buttons. And there we go. Cool. And below that is, where'd my alert go? My alert's up there. I don't know how to explain this. Am I doing okay?
Great.
You're doing great. Yes.
Am I missing anything?
Maybe just the only other thing is that we included
The field set. Yeah. That was interesting to work with. I've never used that before, so not much change there. It just seemed like it combined it all.
Cool. And what, tell me again what the field set does, something specific, like wrapping all of those radio buttons in a field set gives some information.
I have no idea. Lauren, do you know?
I think it's showing that it's grouping them together so it helps with accessibility for their readers.
Awesome.
Cool. Awesome. What were some of the challenges with this particular task?
I think personally, some of the challenges for me was, one, just jumping into it, and two was figuring out what had already been done and what is also being done on the other side that we need to work with us. It wasn't really as technical as I thought it was gonna be. It was way simpler, but like it was definitely just like figuring out what is already out there in the ether that we have access to.
Yep. Yeah, this was I think that was one of the challenges with this week is like the two teams really had to coordinate. Like you really needed the information that the other team was providing. But yeah, I really like how you handled it.
This was acting a little like I didn't expect it. It did not act as I expected it to, without setting this, if we took that out. So if it had just been set to checked, I thought that you didn't actually need to set it to true or false in the beginning and that it would just adjust as you clicked, but it created some weird things when you tried to switch between these other two fields. So we needed to do that. Thanks for pointing that out, Lauren. And then this part was unexpected also. I thought that since we were setting it here as an integer, that it would just save as an integer, but it kept reading the target value as a string. So we needed to add this in to turn it back into an integer.
Yep.
That is very tricky.
Every time too. I think so the issue that you were running into with the form fields with the radios in particular was that you were like it was being handled halfway with React and then halfway not with React. So for example, you had wanted to have that first radio be checked, right, as the default. But that was using the DOM to control the input, but we wanted React to control the whole thing. So that was the kind of that controlled versus uncontrolled component issue that you were running into. And that docs actually explain it really well. I've never been able to articulate it as well as the React docs do, but that really helped clarify it for me too. Awesome. Looks really good. And then, yeah, and then you're just passing in the token as a prop, right? So it's just available. Wonderful. Nice job. Woohoo. Okay. Kat and Quinn, you're up.
Amazing. Quinn's going to share his screen, and then we're going to walk through what we worked on.
It's not letting me choose a different like window or desktop. I guess I have to put it on one desktop. Or, one second. Okay.
Amazing.
Can you still see it? Or?
Yep, I can see your VS Code. Did you want to go through the app first, like at the live site, and then we can go through the code and what we did?
Oh, yes. Let me shoot. Okay. Awesome.
Amazing.
Nice.
All right. So this week we worked on the welcome screen, which is based on a wireframe that was in the main project. So our AC ultimately was to create a link that created a new collection in Firebase and from like a token that was generated from a pre-existing function. So Quinn, if you want to go through and show how this works. So ultimately create a new list by clicking on the button, and then it brings you directly to the list page where we added some placeholder text if the list is empty. So it seems pretty simple, but it was a little less simple for us just because we sort of missed one of the ACs, which was actually creating the collection in Firebase initially. but we made it. So that's good. So Quinn, do you want to switch over to the code in your text editor?
Yeah.
Amazing. And then we can walk through what we did. Perfect. So the first thing that we did was there was a lot of the last commits in the main app. So we sort of reorganized things to put them with the components that they belonged in, just to make sure that there was less conflict when we were merging. The next thing that we did was creating a welcome page, adding links to the component, and importing the get token function that was already existing in one of the folders that came with the project. It was in the lib folder.
Yeah.
Lib? Yeah. Perfect. So right here for the tokens. So this was really amazing for us because we didn't have to create a token from scratch. We already had this amazing function that was based on, it looked like something that Andrew had previously created. So we were able to use this to generate the 3-word token. And the nice thing about Firebase as well is we weren't forced to add any dashes, anything like that, because it was able to accept a string as the collection name. So we were able to just move that right over, and it was very, very simple for us. So if we want to go to the welcome screen again, or the welcome file. So yeah, we were able to ultimately bring that in, create the token, then save it to local storage using a function or like a document that we found actually from Robin, whose last name escapes me right now, but he wrote to React. So we were able to use that documentation that he created to sort of base what we were doing on. So we set the item or set the token in local storage, and then we wrote the token to Firebase. But when we did that, it also created an empty list with one key in it. So it was always bringing up an empty like list item once it went to the list view. So just to sort of prevent that, we went to the list function and created a little bit of error handling, just so that it, if the name didn't exist, which was the property that we were inputting in the add item screen, it wouldn't be pushed to the state for this component. And then we also updated so that the token was being passed along to all of the other components that needed it, just to make it easier to integrate with the PR that Lauren and Tiana were creating. And I think that that is, just about everything. One thing that we needed to do based on a comment that Lauren had made on the app.js, like the main page, was down in the links, because it was throwing errors when you didn't have a token already and you were trying to navigate to the list or add item page. So we found require auth to require that token to be able to move to those pages, and if not, to redirect it back to the welcome page in case anyone was trying to go directly to a list page or to the add item page, which worked really well for us. And then we also made sure that we were hiding the bottom navigation if we didn't have the token, so that users wouldn't try to navigate there as well. Yeah, I think that that is just about everything. Quinn, do you have anything to add?
Well, I mean, this is kind of a smaller thing, but we were getting a memory leak from not calling this unsubscribe function. So in the Firestore documentation, it's talking about how this db collection call will return a function that you can use to unsubscribe from get like streaming the information from your Firestore database. So just adding that in, and then like once the component unmounts, having that function be returned and making sure there are no memory leaks. That was one thing. And then
yeah, that was
I think that was it. Yeah, that was it.
That's really interesting, Quinn.
Hmm.
That is a good catch by you all to catch that. It's really easy to introduce memory leaks for things like that, where you forget to unsubscribe or stop listening. So good call catching that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I like how you, I like the addition of the require auth. That was clever. I like that a lot. And then what were some of the, I like how you all were really forward thinking, and like even when you first opened up your pull request, you were communicating like, hey, this is how we're getting the token. And you had even put in place like how they could easily get the token on the, for their work. So that was really pretty great. What were, I mean, you've talked about it a little bit, but specifically, what were some of the biggest challenges with this issue in particular?
Um, well, one thing that kind of happens to me every so often with React is I just like kind of lose track of how the like order of operations happen. Um, so like, what fires when? Like, does use state and then use effect? Like, what order do these things fire? Because like earlier on, I was kind of pushing to use like a use effect to tell whether the local storage token existed, but it just wasn't like the correct solution. And just going back to like, looking through the documentation and just like, of course, like set, like whenever you set the state, whenever you change the state, automatically re-renders the entire app. So, realizing that like, I don't know why I was so dead set on just like using local storage directly, but part of like the React flow is like you have like by putting the local storage token in state, you're able to control like when re-renders happen. So that was one thing.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges we also had is every single time that we added something that we were like, oh yeah, this is really good. It was just creating like new and fun like errors and sort of like additional things that we had to add in order to just make everything work really seamlessly together and have like a better like user experience. So it was really interesting because we're like, oh, we're done. And then like we were not done every single time that we pushed a commit to our branch. So that was always delightful. And like also we were, I think, trying to navigate what was too far down and what was, what we were currently working on, because like Quinn and I think discussed like a bunch of just like bizarro like one-off use cases that we could be trying to prevent and like accommodate for, but at a point like we were just like looking so far into the future that it's just like, no, we really need to focus on like what is now and like what this specific like AC is, and like what sort of the fallout will be as well that we sort of have to mitigate. So it was really fun.
Nice. Very thoughtful.
Yeah, that's a really good one, Kat, too. It's funny you bring that up. We actually ran into that on a project I'm working on at work. It's a large refactor, and there's about 10, 20 edge cases that we haven't hit yet. But at some point, you just have to say, okay, let's merge this in. Let's get that in so we don't have to keep rebasing this. And then let's work on all the edge cases. So that was good that you all had that conversation. It's hard to know when you call it done.
Nice. I'm really impressed by how this is coming together, and the kind of the cross team collaboration and communication that's happening has been really, really excellent. And every week I'm just constantly surprised by how quickly you're able to sort of isolate the issue and get it done. Very impressive. Awesome. So I'll hand it back to you, Keeley, for retro.
All right, great demos. Those were all very, very good. So for the retro, I'm going to go ahead and drop the link to the retro in our team channel again, just so you all have it. So there you go. So just a quick show of hands here. Who has actually done a retro before? Oh, awesome. Okay, so first time. So for those of you who haven't done a retro before, the purpose of a retro is basically a pulse check. So it's before you reach the end of a sprint. So for example, my team does monthly sprints, and we do retros every 2 weeks, just so we can say, okay, what's going well so far? What can we improve on? And if there are people that are really doing a great job or helped us out, let's make sure we thank them publicly and lift them up, as opposed to, waiting until the end of the month where we may have forgotten. So what we're going to do with this board is I'll keep the time. I'm going to give us 6 minutes just to start off. And what I want you all to do is you can add more than one card. If you don't have anything to add for a particular column, you don't have to add anything. But I would say try to put at least one card in one column. And so I will keep time 6 minutes. And as soon as the 6 minutes are over, I'll share my screen and we can go through the cards. Does anyone have any questions before we start? Okay. All right, I'm going to set a timer for 6 minutes, and I will let you all know when that time has passed. Just a quick 2-minute warning. We've got 2 minutes left. Okay, if everybody could wrap up the cards you're working on and hit enter, we'll get started in just a second. All right, so for this part, I'll go ahead and share my screen. Let me make sure. And can everybody see the retro board here? All right, awesome. So let's start in appreciations, and then we'll jump over to the other columns here. So I'll just go through, and when I get to a person's card, I'll say their name. And if you just want to give a quick summary of your card, that would be great. So Kat, I'm sorry, I'm going to start with you. You're at the top here in appreciations, and then we'll work our way down. So go ahead.
Cool. I guess to summary, I've really enjoyed working with all of you. You're awesome. The knowledge that you bring has really, really helped me, especially coming from like class components and having no clue what I'm doing. And Tiana, I know I haven't worked with you closely yet, but like your ability to just like try to seek feedback immediately is so cool, and just like get what you need out of this. It's awesome. And like, it's what I want to be able to do. And also the mentors, amazing, so instrumental to like everything. And I'm really like learning and getting confidence. So like, thank you so much to everyone.
Awesome, thanks, Kat. That was a really nice start to the retro. So thank you, and thank you for going first. So my card is next up. Lauren, I just wanted to give a special shout out to you. I think you've been probably the most active mentor in the channels of all the channels I've seen. So thank you for being so active and being so helpful. All right, next up we have Lauren.
Oh man, Cass was so good. In general, I'm really appreciative of everyone's organizational skills, both the project, but I think the teammates too. Everyone is communicating, and it's really great to know that if I ask a question or someone else asks a question, people respond right away. So that's really, really great. And I echo Kat's thoughts that thank you so much to the mentors for your very specific feedback. I feel like that's why we're here, and it's really helping.
And next up we have Lauren Beatty.
Cool. So I just want to thank Keeley and Matt, who is not here today. But I feel like I have nothing to do for this group, because everyone, number one, everyone is so capable, and the mentors are so capable that just jump in and just do whatever is required, and everything just runs so smoothly and seamlessly. I'm so thankful. Tiana, great work, just jumping in at the last minute with people who'd already worked together, and you're so fearless. I just love it. I'm super impressed. Kat, you are just so quietly competent, like behind the scenes, sharing info. I feel like you really started that trend of sharing info in Slack, like, oh, this is what I've done in the past, or here's some links to some documentation. I think that's really excellent. Quinn, you write really wonderful code review. It's really set a great standard for everyone else to follow. Same with Lauren, really thoughtful and kind and helpful code review, great questions. You're super skilled, and I really appreciate your flexibility and willingness to learn and accept feedback and run with it. So great job, everybody.
Awesome, thanks, Lauren. All right, so this last one is from Matt. So I'll let us read it, but then I'll skip over it just so we can jump over to what went well. So let's go back to what went well here. And Kat, I will kick that over to you.
Amazing. It's been really awesome to work with folks who have just such a diverse background of education and knowledge, coming from different internships or new jobs, or just tinkering on their own. And it's been really, really cool. I've been loving the range because, things that I can't even wrap my head around. Somebody's just oh, I've done this before, and been able to jump right on it. So it's
awesome. Thanks, Kat. All right, Quinn, I have you up next here.
I think that we've done a really good job communicating, in terms of code reviews and merging and everything. I know that sometimes there's I feel like I have to hold on to code and grab it and this is mine, but that's not the case. and everybody does a really good job of handling all the code that we write. So
Awesome. Thanks, Gwen. Lauren.
This is similar to my appreciations, but especially with our work being so intertwined this week, I thought it was really great how it was easy to communicate, the line of communication was open the whole time. And I also really appreciated the other team's response to, suggestions, or they fixed those problems in an even better way than I was imagining. So I thought that was really cool.
Awesome. Thank you. Tiana.
Let me see. Jumping in, Lauren and I worked really well together. She's very smart. I remember, I'll hit a point where I'll remember stuff and then I'll be missing one little thing and she's always there to add it in. The workload was really well distributed. The task at hand, it looks kind of bigger than it is, but then you think about there's two of you working on it. That was really great. And then the communication, even though this is could be improved as well, the communication with the other team went really well. We everything just worked really nicely together for what it's worth.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, so mine is up next. I did just want to shout out, I think the code quality from all four of you has been really top notch. Just on top of communication, which I think has been great, and PR's review, which I think has been great. Just the quality of the code that I've seen has been very professional. So just wanted to give a shout out to all of you. Your code is very, very good. And then, yeah, just echoing what a lot of other people have already said about communication. I think everyone in this cohort has really strong communication skills, and that's been pretty impressive to see. All right, and Lauren.
Yep, so I'll echo the same thing. The collaboration, I feel like this is the third group that I've mentored, and this has been the best collaboration that I've seen so far. It's really excellent. I'm really impressed. And then I really like how you're consolidating your communications about your particular issues for the week and your threads. That's been it makes it easy for me as a mentor to follow what's happening through the week, and hopefully for you it's also useful because everything's just in one easy spot to find. Because sometimes I think that Slack can be overwhelming. I know this time around with having 3 different groups going at the same time, Keeley, I don't know how you feel, but I'm getting lots of Slack communication.
Yeah, about notification fatigue, definitely.
Yeah, it's been a lot. And I feel like this group is really managing their communications super well. So good job.
All right, and then I'll read Matt's quickly here. Proactivity, the team has really taken it upon themselves to get work early and often. Completely agree. I've been really impressed by everyone's proactivity here. And then communication, which I think has been mentioned in every card. So great job, everyone. The communication here has been really solid. All right, so what could be improved? So just to set the tone, so typically in team retros, we'll go over this and talk about it, but we won't seek solutions just yet. And so what we'll do is if everybody could read their card, give a little bit more context about what you want to improve. If you'd like to propose a solution, you're welcome to, but you don't have to. And then Lauren and Matt and I will talk this week and just see in this column if there's anything that we can take action on to improve. So just to expectation set there. All right, so Lauren, I have your card at the top here.
Oh, so I'm not sure if it's just the nature of this week's task, but I found it just a little stressful. The good side was we were communicating really well. I think Tiana and I met at least 3 times. But I think part of that was it was a little bit dependent on when other things happened. So we had to schedule things kind of, later for that day. And in a way, it kind of felt like a schedule hostage, waiting to see when something could work out. So if there's that was just a little bit stressful. It also was a busy week for me since I'm at my parents'. So I think that was my one thing that I was thinking could be improved. Also, I'm not sure if this is me or just not being very familiar with Slack, but if you guys have any tips for how to pin our threads or something, because after a little while it gets kind of buried and that's hard to deal with.
That is, I know I had just said, we're not going to do solutions, but that's actually a very quick one that we can do. So we could actually pin these right to the top of the channel. So it's easier for you all to find. Yeah, great idea, Lauren.
Can you show where they can find the pin?
Oh, yes, sorry, thank you. So right up here at the top of the channel, see how there's this little pin with 3? If you click that, you can easily get to all of the pin messages. So Lauren, that's a really good point. When we make these threads, we'll just pair them each week, and then maybe the previous week's thread, we'll just remove that from pin items so it doesn't get cluttered. But then your thread will always be pinned in the channel. Right. Awesome. Thank you so much. That was really good feedback. All right, Quinn.
This one, I mean in a very like loose, like simple way, nothing to like overthink. But like I definitely, I feel like there are sometimes like parts of the project that we may not cover, or something somebody might have an idea that's not really covered in an issue. So just like, you know, like being able to balance ideas or just like mention things might be like a useful. Yeah.
That's a good idea. All right, Tiana. Oh, sorry, Tiana, I think you're muted.
Yeah, I said that too, and you still couldn't hear it. Oh, I'm mute. You can't hear that. Like I said about the communication, it went really well. I do kind of wish that like I would have reached out a little bit earlier. Mostly that's just like an intimidation factor on my end. And the kind of what Lauren was saying, I do kind of wish we got like a little earlier jump on it, but like the task of scheduling our schedules and being in way different time zones, which did mess it up in the beginning, but we got to figure it out. So scheduling was a little bit difficult, and I feel like, and this is like me being just who I am, like could have been a bit more prepared. Only in this, like I could and I couldn't have, because I didn't know that this was going to happen, but I did feel like I jumped into this pretty rusty. So that's all.
Awesome. Thanks, Tiana. So mine is up next. Mine is more of a general. If there's anything that you all feel that you would like practice doing, that you worried you're going to run into when you get your first job, such as doing a rebase on a branch, is just an example that came to mind. I want to make sure you all have a chance to practice that. So as we continue to move forward, if there's anything that you do want to practice doing that you haven't had the chance to do, if you could let us know in the Slack channel, we can just make sure that we make room for that, either in a learning module or in a pairing session. All right, and Lauren.
Yeah, I want to say this, a really similar thing. I feel like this group is really skilled, and that we as mentors maybe have to sort of rethink our role. Compared to previous groups that I've worked with, everyone technically is very skilled, and even with collaboration and communication. So we as mentors need to rethink what we can offer, I think. Just need to think about that.
All right, great. And then Matt's is last here, and his is just, let's try to be a little bit more careful when submitting PRs. So watching for things like console logs or commented out code. So when we do pull request reviews, we'll just look out for those. All right, awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. Does anybody have any questions about the retro? Good. All right, great. All right, well, let's jump into the last part then, which is assigning issues for next week. So I'll share my screen.
Can I quickly ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So last week, I remember seeing, I think this is what I saw, that you guys were using, oh, it's that. So it's basically like a Trello board. I don't know why mine doesn't look like that. So that's projects.
Oh yeah, here, Tiana, I will link it. So I'll drop it right in the Slack here. So where you can find this is a relatively new feature of GitHub's. So if you're in the repo and then you go over to projects, the tab here, this is the main one. Yeah. So you can see the issues laid out here.
Perfect. That's all I was wondering.
No, great question. All right. So this week, our pairs are Lauren and Quinn, and then Tiana and Kat. And we have 2 issues here that I just pulled up in separate tabs. So issue number 5 is, as a user, I want to join an existing shopping list so I can share a shopping list with another person. And we have the acceptance criteria here. And then issue number 6, as a user, I want to be alerted when I'm entering an item that is the same as something that's already on my list. So filtering out duplicate items on the list. So I'll open it up. Does anybody have a preference for which one they'd like to work on? Otherwise, I'm happy to just assign them. And I will switch back to the other one so that you all can see that as well.
I think that because I'm a little bit like rustier, I would prefer number 5. What about
Number
you,
5?
Tiana?
I was gonna say number 6, but like
Okay, let's do number 6 then. Yeah. No.
Well, like I actually feel like that one's going to be like a little bit more like difficult, and it's gonna have to make me like remember stuff. So if I'm totally either way, I'm almost challenging myself more. So.
Oh, okay, amazing. Let's do 6 then.
All right.
All right, great. Thank you, Kat and Tiana, for volunteering. All right, so Kat and Tiana. Okay, so I've assigned you to 6 here. All right, and so Quinn and Lauren, number 5 is okay for you all? Perfect. So Lauren and Quinn. All right, great, and we'll move these over. And so while we're on the call with each other, why don't we go ahead and set up our shared branches just so that we make sure we have those. Quinn and Lauren, can I ask you all to set up your branch first? And then Kat and Tiana will jump over to you all.
Sure. Do you want to do it, Quinn?
Sure. Should I screen share or does it?
What did you say?
Oh, should I screen share or does everybody fine with me just creating it and then posting it or?
Either way's fine, whatever you want to do.
Oh, okay. Okay.
While you're doing that, Quinn, what you brought up in retro about thinking of different work that's maybe not specific to any of the issues that we have, feel free to create any issues on the issues board that people can pick up if they have time or they feel like working on that in particular.
Awesome. Okay. Where is it? Okay. Great, I just pushed it.
I'm trying to look up. I never remember how to get access to other remote branches. Is it like, well, let me just try to. No. Is it get branch remote? Get.
I usually just, if I'm on main, I'll just do a git pull and then it'll make the branches available to me. So then you can just git check out whatever that new branch is.
Do we have a
I just posted the link to the branch.
Okay, I think I got it.
do we have a naming convention that you're using for branches?
Oh yeah, if you look on, I think it's on the project brief. Let me find it and I'll share it. But usually it's one person's initials, hyphen, other person's initials, hyphen, some short description.
Cool.
All right, so Lauren and Quinn, it sounds like you all are ready to go.
Yes.
All right.
I hope I didn't create a branch that's called remote. Well, I just see that there's, let me just show you really fast. Hold on. But yeah, I was able to join. So I'm on this new branch. Is this usually here, this remote? Isn't this just a list of the current branches? And also, should we be deleting the old ones so that doesn't get kind of crazy?
Yes, I would recommend deleting an old branch, yeah, once it's been merged. And it looks like, Lauren, you may have created a branch called remote. I might just delete that to avoid confusion.
Okay. Can you delete it right from here, or do we just do it from in GitHub?
You can do either. So if you want to delete it from your local environment, you can do git branch hyphen uppercase D, and then the name of the branch you want to delete.
You say D like dog or B?
Oh, sorry. Yes, you have it right. D like dog.
Okay. So remote. Okay, great. I don't need to make you guys watch me, but I'll delete the two. I'm happy to, I can either delete everybody's extra branches or delete just mine. I don't care. It's up to you guys if people want practice doing it.
Right. Awesome. Thank you. By the way, Lauren, I love your command line with the elephant. That was really nice.
Thank you. Yes.
That is so funny.
All right. Kat and Tiana, would one of you like to create the branch, or one of you is already on it, it looks like?
Tiana, are you on mute?
I'm getting really good at that. I can create it. I'm already messing around with stuff, but I'm also, I think I'm gonna have you do it, Kat, because mine has been really weird lately, and it's not even letting me delete branches right now. It's just yelling at me. So
Yeah, not a problem.
Kat, are you in Toronto? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, I am.
Cool. Yeah, you and Lauren are like almost neighbors.
Pretty much. It's the same. But I love Buffalo. It's so much prettier. Like, I feel like there's so many more old buildings. Toronto's just like too new.
So when I went to New York City for a little while, we went to a Sabres game, our hockey team in Buffalo, and we were winning, of course. But the New Yorkers that we were around, they were like, "Boo! Go back to Canada, go back to Buffalo, shovel your snow." So I'm proud that we are grouped with Canada often.
Nice.
Perfect. Tiana, I created the branch. It's our initials and then avoid duplicate list items.
do you want to just copy that really quick and just throw it in Slack, and I'll just copy it? Or I guess I'll just pull it.
Yep. If you're on the main branch, you can do git pull, and then that should be available to you, and then you can do git check out the branch name.
Perfect.
All right, great. And Tiana, let me know if you have any trouble pulling that down. All right, awesome. All right, well, thank you so much, everybody. Lauren and I will talk about the items that were raised in retro too, and just let you know if we're going to make any adjustments. But if you have any questions throughout the week, let us know. We're happy to help.
Awesome.
One quick thing. Could we learn a little bit more about merging? I feel like I've been doing it the past 2 weeks through GitHub, but whenever it comes to doing it in VS Code, sometimes on my personal projects, I've like messed it up before. So I was just wondering if we could do a session on that.
Yeah, that is actually a great idea. Yeah, let me talk to Lauren. We can either do that as our next learning module next call next Sunday, or we can find another time and do that on top of that. But yeah, that would be a great thing to cover. Thanks, Lauren. That's a good idea. All right. Anybody else have any other questions or requests for things they'd like to see covered? All right. Awesome. Okay, great. We'll see you all in Slack this week.
See ya.
Have a good
Great.
one.
Great work, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.